Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Brother Love in the District. Tristan here, along with Jacob. Jacob's going to go ahead and tell you what we're going to get into today.
Today's draft day. So in the NFL, today's the big day. The first round of the NFL draft is going to commence at 8 p.m., I believe. So we're going to give what we think our team needs to do, what are some positions we think they need to solve, and a possible shocker that we think could happen in general at the NFL draft. Going on to hockey, the playoff matchups are all but set. The only one that I believe can interchange is the Caps and Penguins. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then finally into baseball, the Phillies are on the rise and the Nats continue to fall. So let's get right into it.
Yeah. So with draft day being so we release these on Fridays, but we record them on Thursdays. So draft day starts in about 2 hours and 40 minutes. So we're not going to be able to get a draft in time. And that'd be pretty useless, being that the first round of the draft will have already passed by the time you'll be able to listen to this. So what we're going to do instead, and again, this is going to be a little bit useless, but it's just something for us to put out there, and it'll be something that you'll be able to see if it did happen once you do listen to it. So what we're gonna do for the draft is, instead of doing a full-on mock draft, we're just going to do who we think our team will pick in the first round, what positions we want them to draft in the rest of the draft, and something crazy that we think might happen, whether it's a big trade or a player getting drafted super high or super low, just something that would kind of be out of the blue, come out of left field. So I'll go on. I'll let you start. Who do you want the Redskins Commanders to pick, and who do you think they'll pick?
I want them to pick Kyle Hamilton. I think that'd be great if we're able to get him at 11, because in reality, should he fall? Probably not, if we're being quite objective. It's possible if he fell. I would like to see him drafted. However, if that doesn't happen, maybe a wide receiver. I can see them taking Drake London, but for me, I just have a feeling they're gonna trade back. So
I have a question for you. I was talking to someone yesterday, and they said they were talking about Jameson Williams, who right now is ahead of the rehab schedule that he was on. Would you be against them picking Jameson Williams if he were to fall to you guys, coming off a torn ACL?
I would not, and that would be that's a very possible draft. Because I heard that he could possibly start to play even before Halloween. So I would not be completely against that, because I think if Curtis Samuel gets healthy, we have enough weapons to get Carson Wentz through the first couple of games in the season, especially with our run game, and Jameson Williams can just sit back, learn, take some time. So I wouldn't be completely against that. What I would be against is if we drafted a quarterback there, which I don't think will happen, but we never know on draft night.
All right, so you want them to get Kyle Hamilton?
Yeah.
I don't even, so you guys pick 11th.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people saying Kyle Hamilton. You guys only have 6 picks in the draft. Eagles have 10. So that's what I'm going off.
Yeah, and that's why I think we could possibly draft back as well, especially if Kyle Hamilton and a wide receiver we like is already drafted. I can see them drafting back or trading back.
I've also heard a lot about Washington trading back. I don't want them to get Kyle Hamilton, just because I feel like he's going to be a very big impact player. Honestly, I've heard a lot about maybe a corner going to Washington too. I don't know. I definitely see, if he falls to you guys, I could definitely see him going to Washington. I don't know if he will fall that far though.
If we're going to draft a corner though, I'd rather draft back, because I'm the one or two really good ones. I think
Derek Stingley might fall to Washington.
He may, but
doubtful, but he may. I think they'll both go in the top 10.
And I think it'd be more likely for Kyle Hamilton to fall back, because safety isn't as coveted as a cornerback.
But yeah, I could see you guys taking Kyle Hamilton. I am gonna with the Eagles, so they have 2 draft picks, so I will go with theirs. Theirs are at 15 and 18. Washington's is at 11. So I'm gonna go through my mock trade again that I came up with last time. So
Oh
if
goodness, Tristan.
no, it's no, just the Carolina trade. Because I don't think Debo's gonna be getting traded since he hasn't been traded now. Because you want to see him traded by draft day so that because once people start drafting them, they're not really worried about it. But if Sauce Gardner falls to 6, I want them to trade up to Carolina spot for Sauce Gardner because the Giants are at 5 and 7, so I think they can get Sauce Gardner with one of those picks. But if not, I don't think there are going to be any good corners by the time the Eagles are drafting at 15. So I think they'll draft a wide receiver and a D end. It's just a matter of who's there and which they value more. In one of the mock drafts I heard this past week, they had Jermaine Johnson and Garrett Wilson going to the Eagles, who I'm not against. I'm looking at one right now. I don't know if Treylon Burks will go. For wide receiver, I would say my biggest want would probably be Jameson Williams if he falls. I don't think he will, but if he falls,
I don't want him to go to you guys. That would be horrible.
Then if not, I would say one of the Ohio State receivers, as much as it hurts me to say that as a Penn State fan. Those are both really good players. And I mean, like I said, they're just overall really good athletes, and they will be good to have opposite of Devontae Smith. Basically any wide receiver you get in this class will be good to have opposite of Devontae Smith. And then at 18, I mean, both of these could go either way. Honestly, I'd like to see him draft a safety and a linebacker in the first round. I know that's not going to happen, so I'm not even going to try it.
Don't even ask for that.
Yeah, I want it to happen. I know it won't because they just don't value that position. So I would say 18. These can go interchangeable. It's just who's there. I'd be okay with seeing Jermaine Johnson. George Karlaftis might be up there still. Aiden Hutchinson and Kayvon Thibodeau will both be gone. I don't, who I don't want them to get? I don't want them to get Drake London. I think Drake London's going to be a bust.
I heard Washington talking a lot about him. I'm a little worried, but yet again, I'm kind of always worried when it comes to Washington picks because it seems like more often than not, they tend to go quite bad. So,
I wouldn't be against them drafting Jordan Davis either. Could you imagine Jordan Davis on the interior line for the Eagles? But I think they're going to go wide receiver D end is I think the duo they're going to go because I don't think any cornerbacks that they like are going to be there by the time they're drafting. And
Tristan,
I also saw
where you should go. You should go long snapper.
Probably.
We drafted one last draft. You need a long snapper.
They should probably draft a punter.
You guys do need a punter. I mean,
yeah,
you should do the ultimate alpha move. Draft the punter in the first round.
Yeah, that's how you know we're confident. So yeah, I think they're going to go wide receiver just for argument's sake. I'll have them getting Jermaine Johnson because I think he is the best one that'll fall. And I'm going to go with, you know what? I'm going to go with Jameson Williams just because I think his injury might scare off some teams. I'll put those two up for my picks. All right. What do you want to see them draft? What do you want to see them draft from biggest need to smallest need?
I'd say biggest need is offensive line. Since we lost Brandon Sheriff and Eric Flowers, I think there's some holes. And last year, our biggest weapon was our offensive line, and I don't think we should test the strength of that, like as it currently stands, because we should probably be giving Carson Wentz the best opportunity he can get. So offensive line, I think we need secondary help as well, whether that's a corner or defensive back. Hopefully we get Kyle Hamilton. We need a tight end. Considering we don't know what's happening with Logan Thomas. I forget one of the others. We have some other guys, but one of them is like really the guy that's still learning. I forgot his name, Samus Reyes, and then the other guy's more of a blocking. So maybe tight end. Since it's looking like Deron Payne, we're not going to offer him a contract extension because I don't think we can afford it paying 3 out of the 4 linemen. So we may need to draft another defensive tackle as depth. So when you look at that, and my big, like, I have 2 things for like the big surprises that I think could happen this year in the draft. I think that 3 quarterbacks are going to be taken in the first round. And for me, why that's surprising is I don't think any of them have first round talent, in my personal opinion. And also, I can see Deron Payne getting traded relatively soon.
For mine, okay, so I'm gonna say what I would like to see drafted in order would be safety, linebacker, corner. No, I'll keep it safety, linebacker, corner, in that order, and then maybe DN, but they're gonna go DN, corner, wide receiver, somewhere along that line. And then for my surprise, I'm gonna say the first quarterback won't be drafted until pick 13. I don't think a quarterback will get drafted in the top 10. I could even see no quarterback getting drafted until number 20.
I think there's still some teams who are going to overpay. I think there's going to be one in top 15, at least one.
That's why I'm going to go for my bold take that no quarterback will get drafted until after 10. This mock draft that I'm looking at right now has Malik Willis getting drafted at number 6, who kind of took the reins on the number 1 quarterback in the draft from Kenny Pickett.
I still have questions about Malik Willis because he did play at Liberty.
Yeah, he didn't play the greatest competition. I mean, neither did Kenny Pickett.
Well, honestly, his throwing stats aren't exactly the best either.
The quarterback who played against the best competition would probably be Matt Corral because he went to Ole Miss.
Oh, Matt Corral. I've heard possible rumors that if he falls to Washington, that we might take him at 2 in the second round.
But I mean, Ole Miss plays in the SEC, which is the best conference in college football. So, and I think if he didn't get hurt, he'd be the number 1 quarterback prospect.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really all we're going to have for our draft day coverage. Nothing too big happening. Other than that, because we're going to have to wait. And I don't see the Eagles drafting a running back until, if they draft one, until the 3rd or 4th round.
Yeah, I don't either.
But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see the draft. That's something I've been excited for a while. And I really want them to get a decent corner. That's what I want, because that's the most likely scenario.
I am too, but I have a really bad feeling about this draft for no apparent reason.
I was listening to something earlier, and they were saying how they were talking to a bunch of like scout guys and everything in the NFL, and they said that this draft class isn't really that good. Like, depending on who they talk to, because obviously different teams grade the draft differently. Some teams have 20 first round talents, others have like 10. But overall, like, there's not really elite talent. Like, elite is like multiple all pros, and it's just not in this draft. So
maybe you could see a lot of teams trading for future picks. We could very well see that.
I saw something a little bit ago saying the Eagles might try to trade up, which I really hope they do if Sauce Gardner.
Sauce Gardner.
That's the only reason I want them to trade up. Anything else, don't even worry about it. Because I don't want them to trade up for Derek Stingley because they'll look like an idiot when he gets another injury and doesn't play again. And because that's bound to happen, if the Eagles draft him. But yeah, that's really all I have on the NFL draft coverage. Anything else for you?
No.
Where do you see the first quarterback going?
Pittsburgh.
That's number 20. So you're kind of on
I
mine.
think they're going to trade up, though. I've heard rumors that they could possibly trade up.
And who do you have your number one? Who's your number one pick? Do you think will get drafted number one?
I have not.
Just because I think there's a lot of players that it could be.
Yeah, it could be a lot. Damn, I never thought about that. I'd say Aiden Hutchinson.
That's who I say. I think it'll be Aiden
Yeah.
Hutchinson. I've seen a lot of people now saying Trayvon Walker, which I think the reason they could go for Trayvon Walker is because he can do a lot more than Aiden Hutchinson. Trayvon Walker is like an all-around defensive line player, whereas Aiden Hutchinson is just an edge rusher. So I could see anything happening there. All right, so you want to go over and talk about the NHL?
Yeah, that's a
On the
little
playoffs?
more brighter to talk about, I guess you could say, even though Ovi has gone down with it's a minor injury, but he's going to probably miss the last 2 games of the regular season.
Yeah. That's what I want. So as of right now, who are you guys playing?
As of right now, we're playing the Panthers. If we wanted to move up in order, like past the Pens and then go on to face the Rangers, we'd have to win these last 2 games. We face the Islanders while they're at home, and we face the Rangers at New York on Friday. So we play the 2 New York teams at their barn.
Oh, Carolina clinched the division. So I was off by one team at my division guess. Who'd you
I don't
pick?
remember who I predicted.
I want to say.
Did I say Carolina?
I think you did say Carolina, honestly.
I made a right prediction.
I think you did say Carolina, and I think I said the reason that I don't like that pick is because their defense.
Yeah. And well, next week we're doing playoff predictions. Let's see how wrong I get that again.
Yeah. So yeah, as of right now, it's Carolina against Boston, Florida against Washington. Well, you would have to actually, you technically you only need to win one if Pittsburgh loses their last game.
Okay, but
and
are they playing their last game?
They play the Blue Jackets on Friday.
Okay, so we would need to win 2 games.
So if they lose and you win, then you move up. Then you'd be playing the Rangers. And then Toronto and Tampa, Florida and Washington. And then in the Western Conference, I think this is pretty much set.
It's set.
It is, because Vegas only had one chance. And so this is the first time Vegas is missing the playoffs in their existence.
Screw you, Vegas.
But yeah, they've lost 3 straight. They've had 3 straight overtime losses.
Yeah, but that first round series, Toronto and Tampa, that's going to be a good high-scoring series. And Toronto's probably going to pull a Toronto again.
I don't know if it'll be high scoring, because if you look at the past playoff series, they just in general, they're usually low scoring because everything is tighter, because you're playing for something bigger now as opposed to just a playoff spot. So everyone's it's closer checking and it's tighter hockey.
Yeah, but I just don't trust the Maple Leafs goaltending.
I don't trust the Maple Leafs at all.
Fair enough. The last time we won a playoff series, I don't think either of us were one.
I was going to say, I think it was 2002.
We were either one or less than one, or we hadn't been born yet.
It's been a while since the Leafs last one, but Austin Matthews has 60
goals. That's insane.
He has 60 goals and 46 assists. That is absurd.
Ovi's still better.
Yeah.
Not this season, but
I don't know. Austin Matthews is showing a bright spot. He might be. I'm not going to say he's going to be the greatest goal scorer of all time,
yeah, I was
but
gonna say
he's
he's
he could
looking
push
like he's
for
gonna
it.
be a good one.
Yeah, he could push for it. And then they announced that the draft lottery is going to be on May 10th. The Flyers are 4th in the league right now. From the bottom, 4th from the bottom.
Is this a good draft this year in terms of NHL?
No, not really.
Next year's the really good one.
Yeah. So next year, no, we have the 2024 pick for the Panthers. But next year, Connor Bedard is the projected number 1 overall pick. This year, it's Shane Wright, who, I mean, don't get me wrong, I still wouldn't mind if the Flyers get Shane Wright because that's good talent coming. But I would like to see a high. I would be so mad if two teams from below the Flyers move up and bump the Flyers 2 spots back.
That would be funny. I would laugh.
That's probably bound to happen.
Knowing your luck, maybe.
But yeah, Philadelphia has 1 game left. They play on Friday against the Senators. They won 2 games straight. 3 games straight, actually.
Whoa, that's big.
Or no, it was just 2. It was just 2. Like,
wow, Tristan, that almost qualifies as a streak.
I'm actually not real happy about them winning games.
You guys need to be losing.
I was telling you how they beat the Penguins to help the Caps move up a little bit,
and then we went on to blow that game against the Maple Leafs in a shootout.
Hang on. But yeah, I mean they beat Montreal, and I was like, okay, they're not going to go into the offseason with an 11-game losing streak. Then they beat the Penguins, and I was like, whoa, what are we doing? Stop it. No, we don't need to win anymore.
You need to quit that.
Yeah, don't do that anymore. Which I see where they're coming from. Like, you don't want to install that thought that you can lose and not worry about it in the franchise. You want a winning culture in the franchise. So I see where they're coming from in the fact that you don't just want to lose out, but still would be nice to win a couple more games or lose a couple more games. Well, lose the last game.
Yeah, the Caps, we start our losing when the first or second round comes around. So just wait. We'll be joining you quite soon.
Ovi will be out golfing with Travis Konechny.
I'm not sure about that, but I can't see them as real golf buddies.
Well, I mean, just the fact that the season's over, so they have nothing better to do.
Yeah. Who knows what's going to happen?
It's just crazy how Montreal went from the Stanley Cup to
the worst team in the league.
The worst team in the NHL.
One of the worst seasons in the modern era.
And also, we were right about Seattle. They're the 3rd worst team in the league right now.
Horrible. I didn't like their team from the start, and they proved to everybody who thought they weren't going to do good right.
Yeah, I don't think I talked to anyone who thought that they were going to be good.
Yeah, the way they did their draft was just strange to me. It seemed like they were trying to tank from the start, but yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Maybe they're banking on these next 2 drafts to build a core, but
which again, this draft isn't really that good. So,
but there's not a lot of scouting on these players, so it's a toss-up. You could either find a diamond in the rough or pay way too high of a price for a bum or a comparative bum.
I mean, there's still scouting, but
there's not as much.
I don't know, because they send out so many scouts for each team because you have to go to so many more countries because it comes from around the world as opposed to the NFL where you're really just looking at colleges. So it's kind of a bigger pool. is what it is. So the I'll, I'll give you this. It's a bigger pool, so the odds of finding a diamond in the rough are higher than the NFL
But
because of
the
the
odds
fact
of
that
finding a bust are a lot higher as
are
well.
also higher. Yeah.
Higher risk, but higher reward.
But yeah, that's all I have for hockey really until the playoffs start.
Mm.
I'm going to be a Panthers fan for the playoffs.
I have a good feeling about the Panthers too, but we were talking about this earlier. You don't want me to pick them because that
No, because I
never
want
goes
them to
right.
win. And if you pick them, they're going to lose.
Yeah, like I picked the Eagles, then they got proceeded to get smoked in the playoffs.
That I don't really blame on you, but sort of kind of because
Yeah, I picked the Hurricanes to win it all last year, I believe, and that didn't go well.
I think they lost in the first round.
Yeah, I think I had a Caps and Panthers Stanley
Final.
Cup. Yeah, that did not go well at all. I think I predicted like 2 or 3 correct teams.
In the first round, I think you only had 2 teams right.
And then they lost the next round, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I just want to see Claude Giroux win a cup. That's what he deserves. And
yeah,
as much as Flyers fans want him back, I don't think he's going to come back.
he shouldn't.
I don't think he should either. I mean, this is where the Flyers need to move on to their younger guys and pass the responsibility on to the younger guys.
Yeah, and get rid of Cam Atkinson.
They're in a stage where I don't know if they'll get rid of him. Maybe if they can get another younger
Goal scorer.
Yeah, another younger goal scorer because Cam Atkinson led the team in scoring this year. I think he ended up tying with. Yeah, he's tied with JVR right now. But in goals per game, he led because he only played 73 games and JVR played 81. So that actually helps because JVR could actually get traded over the offseason now if he's now up there with the rest of the team in points scored.
Maybe, but
you know what's sad? Austin Matthews by himself has more points than our top 2 point scorers. Our top 2 point scorers, Travis Konechny and Cam Atkinson, combined for a total of 102 points. Austin Matthews has 106 by himself.
Yeah, that's
actually going to see. I want to see who has the most points in the league right now.
Huberdeau or McDavid, I think.
McDavid, 122. You think McDavid could ever get 150 points in a single season?
I think so, but I think like the pace he set last season in the shortened season was the pace he needs to have.
Yeah, because he had like 100 points in 50 games last season.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. I think he can.
I just brought that up for.
I mean, he won't win anything, kind of like Mike Trout won't win anything, but it'd still be cool to see.
Who do you think will win the Hart this year?
I think Huberdeau.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the underdog Huberdeau, just because of the way he played. And as much as I love Connor McDavid, he's an outstanding player. Kind of tired of seeing him win.
I'm tired of seeing Oilers win it.
Yeah, Oilers.
Former Oilers, Taylor Hall, win it.
No, he won it when he was with the Devils, though.
No, but I'm saying like he's a former Oiler though. But
dude, just imagine like the amount of talent that the Oilers had
and traded away
Taylor Hall, Leon Draisaitl, and they got rid of it.
And the fact that they lost a cup in 2006, I think it was the year. Oilers fans they definitely suffer in some respects, but I think they're still pretty coddled.
Yeah, just because they get all those number 1 overall picks.
Yeah, the Buffalo Sabres have it a lot worse, in my opinion. Thrashers fans or former Thrashers fans had it a lot worse.
That's all I really have for the NHL, though.
Do we have to talk about baseball?
Yes. Oh, yes. This is something that I'm actually excited to talk about this week because the Phillies have picked it up.
Um, yeah, we have the worst pitcher in baseball, considering he makes over $20 million. Patrick Corbin now has an 8.69 ERA,
Jeez, that is rough.
and I think he's making like $23 million a year.
Hey, if it makes you feel any better, you went into the season expecting this. And what did I say at the beginning of the season?
Yeah,
You
no,
were like,
I expected this too, but I
I
am
am
on,
so
Corbin. Come on. Like, seriously, I understand we pitched you into the World Series run. That's not an excuse anymore. Stop. Yeah, he's 0-4 with an 8.69 ERA.
You were saying how excited you were for the season, and I go, yeah, you'll be thinking about that about maybe 2 weeks in. Sure enough, here we are 2 weeks
I
in.
knew this as well. Like, I've said this before. I think we're lucky to get 70 wins. I don't think so. I think 60 or 50 is more accurate. But geez, Corbin is awful.
I mean, you're playing most of your minor league team, like your pipeline.
It's a AAA team aside from some really old guys who are playing like crap. Nelson Cruz, Alcides Escobar, and then Josh Bell and Juan Soto are the only upside.
Yeah, and just think about the money that you had to pay Nelson Cruz.
He's hitting less than 200, I think.
It might not have been that big of a contract, but still, you're paying an older guy to do nothing right now, essentially, because apparently the Nationals forgot that they were in a rebuild.
No, we remember the management said we need to be patient, which means they're gonna suck.
Yeah.
Tristan, we lost like 2 or 3 games in a row to the Marlins. Like the Marlins, yeah, they're above 500. They're still not a great team.
They're number two in the AL East right now.
Yeah, but they're 10-8. That's not a record that blows you away.
And I mean, the Mets I believe they're the number one team in baseball right now.
Yeah, the Mets are amazing.
I still won't go that far yet.
They're going to be better than the Phillies
over the season. I wouldn't be surprised if they're not.
I don't trust your pitching at all. Your pitching hasn't showed any signs that it's consistent, good even.
It's 20 games in, and like I said this last week, and I'm 99% sure I said this last week. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I said it was still early and the Phillies hitters still need to get out of their slump. Last time we talked, the Phillies were 5-9. They just won today to bring them back up to 500, and they are now 10-10.
Wow, that's a real Phillies number, 500.
Okay, well, when you were, dude, that's winning 5 of 6 games in the past week. That's still a pretty good number, especially when the offensive weapons that they had, they should be the number one team in the NL East right now.
They should, but they're not. And part of that may be due to the fact that Angel Hernandez is an amazing umpire.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we should talk about that for a sec. I think he called 10 pitches outside of the strike zone strikes.
Yeah, there's a 3-2 pitch to Kyle Schwarber. It was a fastball down.
Low and away. And it was real low and away.
It should not have been a strike. He called it a strike, slammed his bat, slammed his helmet, got thrown out, argued with Angel Hernandez. Angel Hernandez is horrible as an ump. I would love to be at an Angel Hernandez game just so we can laugh at how bad some of the calls are. Because I don't if you're there, I don't think do it justice as the TV would. So I think that'd be nice to see.
So going over the past couple of games just because they have been stepping it up lately. So like I said, last time we talked, they were 5-9. Let me pull up their schedule real quick. They were okay or not. I went to pull up the schedule and the thing just glitched out. So last time we talked last Thursday, they were 5-9. The season had just started. And so They had just lost a series to the Rockies. And then after that, they must have been 5-8 actually, because they lost to the Brewers. So they were 5-8, still not great. But they lost a series to the Brewers after that, and they just swept the Rockies. And listen to these scores: 8-2, 10-3, 7-3, 7-1.
Yeah, but the Rockies suck.
No, they were the number 2 team in the NL West. What do you mean?
It's way too early, and by the end of the season, they're going to be the last team in the NL West.
Hold on. Wait a second. What just happened? You were just saying how you thought the Mets were so good, and I said they won't make it. They won't make it that well. And you're like, oh no, the Mets are so good. And now that I say that the Rockies were good because they were second in the NL West, you were like, dude, it's still early. What do you mean? They're terrible.
Tristan, it's best if you don't think about this, okay? Just accept it, all right? The Rockies stink, and the Phillies aren't going to be better than the Mets.
You're contradicting yourself. So are you?
I know I am, but I still do not think that you're going to end the season with a higher record than the Mets. And plus
the Mets don't have the hitting.
Scherzer is pitching lights out already, and once DeGrom comes back, you kidding me?
To get injured again, like you did last season?
Yeah, and your bats fall off like they did again, and your pitching not get started like it did again.
On. The bats weren't hot to begin with. Yeah,
I'm talking about everybody other than Bryce last season. Name a good hitter other than Bryce that you guys had last season.
Okay, but yeah, exactly. That's my point. This season, they have way better hitters.
Yeah, but you still don't have pitching.
They're still getting players back from injury. Huh? I said they're still getting players. They're not big players, but there's still players that are better than who was there.
Pitchers or batters?
Batters.
Okay, yeah.
Again, not much better than who they were because they at least now have a real center fielder. They were rotating people in at center field because they didn't have an MLB caliber center fielder.
Who were you guys rotating last season?
Well, no, last season, Odubel Herrera was the center fielder. I'm talking earlier this season.
Oh.
Like up until I think Roman Quinn and Odubel Herrera both just got back like 3 or 4 games ago. And still, that's making so much more of a difference. Odubel Herrera, I think it was in the 10-3 win over the Rockies. He went 3 for 4, I believe, with 3 RBIs and a home run. 2 for 4, a home run, a double, 3 RBIs, and 2 runs. So, I mean, just the fact that they actually have a real center fielder now, as opposed to Matt Vierling or what's his name? There's a guy who was playing center for him. He's Italian.
Is he a AAA player?
The way he's,
Is he a AAA player?
Yes, he should be. And they had him out there because they didn't have anyone better to put out there. I'm looking up the box score now to find.
Well, regardless, I still don't think he'll be a good enough team to make the.
Muzziotti is the guy that I was looking for.
Who in the heck is that guy? I just don't think he'll be number 1 in the NL East because Acuna is just about to rejoin the Braves.
Realistically, I don't think the Phillies will be number 1 in the NL either. But
I don't think he'll be 2 either. I think they will. I think the Mets offense has figured it out, and I just don't think he'll have the pitching down the stretch to really keep up.
The Mets offense is mediocre at best. So they're
mediocre at best, but Francisco Lindor is hitting the ball, like the cover off the ball so far this season. And I think they'll be able to.
There it is again. But I thought it was too early.
No, Tristan, it is for you guys, but it's not for the other teams. That's how this works.
That's not how it works. Everyone moves the season at the same pace.
Well, Tristan, we've done this before. We were talking about championships for the Nats and then Nats and Phillies and then Eagles and Washington. We both use each other's arguments against each other on separate occasions.
Exactly. But the point is, if it's too early, if it's too early for one team, then how is it not early enough for the other team?
Just because
the Phillies batting is finally starting to catch up. Castellanos is starting to hit more. Bryce Harper has actually been moved to DH because
Really?
his throwing arm is injured. So they took him out of right field. So which actually kind of helps because now that's actually the plus of having Schwarber, Castellanos, and Bryce, because you can have Castellanos in right, Schwarber in left. You have that center fielder, and then you could just rotate whoever you need in there at DH. So that actually works well. Alec
Your
Bohm
defense is
hitting
still
well.
super questionable though, because who's the
Alec
best
Bohm
fielder on
playing
your
Alec Bohm playing at third is questionable enough defense for the argument. That's all you needed to say is Alec Bohm.
like the only player you can say are good defenders are Gene Segura and JT. The rest of them are pretty bad defenders if you think about it.
Bryce Harper is one of the best right fielders in the MLB right now. Not injured when he's not injured.
Talking about purely defensively, yes, he's getting better, but he's still not like Gold Glove. Like Bryson Stott, he's playing out of position,
he's still young.
Correct?
He actually just got sent back down to AAA.
Well, he was hitting like crap. Alec Bohm's playing out of position.
He was playing out of position, yes.
Rhys Hoskins, I think they're kind of forcing him to be at first or DH because his defense isn't there either.
Well, no, Rhys Hoskins plays first base because they needed somewhere to put him because they had too many weapons in the outfield, so they put him at first.
Too many like power hitters whose defense isn't their strongest.
Well, this was done a couple years ago. Rhys Hoskins has been at first for at least 3 years.
Yeah, I remember he's been there for a while.
And I wouldn't say his defense is terrible. I mean, yeah, he doesn't scream off the stat sheet, but he's solid, which is all I ask for in a first
serviceable. He's serviceable.
You need to be able to catch the ball, and he does that pretty well. So
just
I'm happy with
rounders at first. That's all you need to do.
But I'd say the only real and something that they actually figured out is they've been playing Johan Camargo occasionally at third base because he's got a cannon. And he's been playing really well at third. So they're kind of rotating Alec Bohm and Camargo at third. And Camargo,
do you want to take his bat out of the lineup though? Because Bohm's playing really well.
Bohm is playing out of his mind with just hitting.
Yeah, like you shouldn't be taking him out of the lineup. If anything, you should pause. I would rotate Bohm and Rhys occasionally when you put in Camargo.
He's got
versus keeping Rhys in and rotating Bohm.
Alec Bohm has a 326 batting average right now and an 875 OPS.
Yeah, you shouldn't be taking that out of the lineup.
Stupid good right now. For batting, I will say that's too early because they don't even have 50 at bats yet. I will say for that is too early. But
anything right now, I'd be rotating Rhys because he's hitting 215 with only one homer. So maybe he just needs a few rest days here and there so we can get it going.
But what I think they're trying to do is, so obviously they have Bryson Stott for the future at shortstop, and I think they want Alec Bohm at third, and I think that's the reason they keep playing him there because of the fact that they want him at third for the future because he's still young. He's really young. He's only 25.
Yes, he's only 25, but you can see he's still struggling with his defense.
Yeah, but that's because he's a tall, lanky guy at third base. So I see where that's coming from, but I don't think he's had an error since
he had 3.
Since that meltdown against the Mets. It was against the Mets.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's hitting really well. The rest of the bats are starting to catch on. So hopefully they can hold that out. They're going for a real test. This is where I would say this. You can't really argue if it's too early or not anymore. They're going to New York to play the Mets for a series. Mm-hmm. And this is where we'll really see who does what, because this is where you're going to get that really good pitching against the really good hitting and then the decent pitching against the decent hitting.
Yeah, and I just think like the reason I don't think the Phillies would do good ever since like 2011, you've had a history of like stop and go starts and ultimately finishing around mediocre. No matter like how good your team looks,
they've been somewhere between like 80 and 82. I'll give you 78 and 85
wins.
Between 78 and 84 to 86 and 78 in like the past 5 seasons. They've been somewhere in there. Well, except for that COVID season where they went exactly 30 for 30. 30-30. So yes, they do go very off and on continuously, but I'm trying to depth chart this will work. I'm trying to pull up just some of the pitcher stats so that we can. Zach Wheeler right now, he is pitching. He has a 5.79 ERA. The pitching right now has not been good. He's 1-3, 5.79 ERA. He has
Aaron
18.
Nola
He has
isn't
18
doing much
strikeouts
better.
and 18 innings pitched, which I'm not angry at.
Aaron Nola's not doing much better. He's 1-2 with the 3.74 ERA and 4 starts.
25 strikeouts and 21 innings pitched. Not terrible.
Yeah,
Ranger
so
Suarez started out rough.
Yeah,
but
he's
he
either fanning them or they're getting hard contact, it seems.
Ranger Suarez pitched really well last night. He had 6 innings pitched. He gave up 7 hits, 3 earned runs, but he had 3 strikeouts. But the reason that I'm saying he pitched well is because for him, that was a good outing because he's still not a natural starting pitcher. He worked his way through the bullpen and got up to a starter. So just the fact that he was able to pitch 6 innings is a decent outing. And the bullpen was able to limit the damage after that, and the Phillies won. So,
which is strange to hear about a Phillies bullpen. It's usually, the Phillies reliever came in and JT's really pissed.
The bullpen hasn't been terrible so far,
which is kind of surprising. You did get rid of Hector Neris, I believe. I think he's an Astro now.
He's
but Brad Hand, I still think that guy stinks.
Zach Eflin has a 3.20 ERA, 15 strikeouts in 19 innings. And Kyle Gibson, his stats are going to be skewed from that first game.
Did he get lit up?
Yeah, he lit it up. He went 7 innings pitched with 2 hits and 10 strikeouts in his first outing. But he's 2-1 with a 3.47 ERA and 23 strikeouts. So he's not pitching terribly either. But he's gonna get the Mets. Aaron Nola has a game against the Mets. And I'll pull up for whoever has that third game against the Mets. I think it's gonna be Zach Eflin. But I will double check.
Should be Eflin. Isn't he considered your third starter?
Oh, I can't pull up the thing on my website. Well, they switched up they had to switch up the rotation because Zach Wheeler was injured. So they wanted to wait until they wanted to wait as long as they could before they put him into pitch. So tomorrow is Nola against McGill. Saturday is Gibson against Walker. And Sunday is Eflin against Scherzer on ESPN. That's going to be a fun game to watch.
I don't think so because I think Scherzer is going to be fanning a lot of batters that game.
Scherzer does have the Phillies number.
And he's been pitching really good the last,
honestly, the last time they played, they ate him up, though.
Is this last year when he was with the Dodgers?
No, with the Mets.
Oh, the season.
I need to go to. But other than that, I mean, I'm happy with the way that the Phillies have been playing recently, the past couple of games.
I wish I could say the same thing about the Nats, but I'm not going to be saying that the entire season, so might as well not start now.
Yeah. And even though it is still early, I would not go against saying that they still have a chance.
Yeah, they still have a chance. I'll give you that, but I still trust the 2 other teams more than I trust the Phillies.
Last time, he gave up a lot less than I thought he did. He gave up 5 hits and 5 innings pitched.
Gibson?
With only one. No, Max Scherzer with only 1 earned run and 3 walks.
Well, Scherzer this year, he's 3-0 with a 1.8 ERA with 33 strikeouts and 25 innings. That's a really good start.
But this will be a good test for the Phillies coming up. But with that is all I have. Anything else from you?
Nope.
next week we are going to be able to talk about who our teams drafted, which I'm excited for.
And I'll be incorrectly predicting the NHL playoffs.
Yeah, we are going to try to release 2 episodes next week. We'll do one with the playoff predictions and then one regular episode. We'll try to do that next week. As we are both busy college students trying to do both at the same time. So trying to figure out the scheduling doesn't exactly work out the best to our abilities. But
and over the summer, our schedule may change up because we both will be working full time. So just heads up.
But we are going to try to keep everything as normal as possible. And with that, we are going to end this week's episode there. You guys can follow us on Instagram at BLNTheDC, and you can DM us questions and comments. You can email us questions and comments at blnthedc@gmail.com. And you can rate us on Spotify and Apple. And with that, we will see you guys next week.
See you.